Hello everyone, this is your host Vexyvampire, and I'm going to be sharing my thoughts and then reviewing this game. This will be commentary only because I had problems with the game itself through it bugged out and my file data corrupted with the video. So I will be just sharing you my thoughts and impression on it. So, overall, I was reviewing this game called Doom and Destiny. It's an indie game, and it is made like on an RPG Maker. And technically, what it's about boys, a gang of boys who go play D&D and looking for their friend. And so suddenly, they get into deeper into his house, and from out of nowhere, which makes no sense, there is some sort of like dungeon sort of thing with like lava and everything. So they're going to look for their friend, and they pick their classes as they always do for, when they start a new game and stuff. So they pick the classes. You have the options of picking the everyday kind of classic classes, which are like warrior, a cleric, mage, and you get to pick a ninja. You could be a pirate, I think, but classes. Overall, these group of boys, they're not the most brightest bunch of boys. They're very not funny, haha, good all the time. Like funny bad, like oversensitive cheesiness, like really oversensitive cheesiness. The only one that I think is kind of smart is Johnny a bit. Like, Johnny seems to be kind of mature, kind of smart and cool a little bit. And maybe Francis. Francis is the one more like, oh, very annoyed kind of type, and he wants the guys to all shut up and like, hey, like, stop this. Johnny and Francis seem not bad. They seem the more intelligent type of the group. As for the rest, Mikey and the other guy, Nikitas or something, they're just really retarded. So you throughout the game, like, they're trying to look for their friend, and suddenly they get transported to this world at one point, and you meet the king and the princesses, and you're supposed to go save the other daughter. Now there is parodies from Zelda, from what I noticed, and the king kind of looks like, the old school Zelda king from the cartoon and all that. And Zelda, when you go save the other princess, well, she looks like the old school Zelda. So, besides all that, there is an intense amount of swearing, or just useless amount of swearing. Like, it's okay to use like swearing and like dirty jokes and stuff. I have no problem with that. You see it in a share of cartoons, and it could be funny sometimes, but when you do it overabundance of like too much of it, it just loses its appeal, and it doesn't seem, it's like you try too hard or you put too much, and then it loses the effect. Like, you're just overloading, and sometimes it's just not really all that great. So you make through, and then he says, "Well, you're the heroes. You have to follow this prophecy, save our world." And through at one point, the king just says, "Hey, well, you don't seem like you're legit enough, or you're convinced. You have to go get like this ring and travel on this journey." So they send a really ugly like goblin kind of thing, or little devil sort of thing, with him named Judas, which the names are really weird picked for like the main. But like, I think yeah, so they do that, and I find that the map is too long in a sense. So I think it's too long than what it should be. Like, it should be more cut back. Not You don't need to walk like 20, almost like 15-20 minutes, almost about to like travel to a lot of places. Like, I think, I'm not saying it takes 15-20 minutes, but I'm saying it takes a significant long amount of time. It's like random battles are overall that, but sometimes random battles tend to overspawn too much more than usual. Like, even Final Fantasy has had their breaks in like random battles. So this one, I found it was just too much frequently, like one after the other almost. So yeah. So they go to a place, you know, you get your parodies. At one point you get parodies of like, oh, I ran into Tunic Boy Link, which it looks like Link. And then I like the kind of, you know, thing where you went and it was replicated the old school Zelda game, and you would see the guy, and he would say, "Take this," but instead of "take this," he just, you know, he's selling stuff. So I like the little things like that. As for the music that was used through forever, so much I got into through the game, is that the music was good and the character little graphic sprites were cute. I really liked them. So I gave bonuses on that. Like those are my cons. Uh, Particular villages that were cool is the elf village was not bad. When you get through that mountain, another Zelda thing, is that you get across the chapter. I hate chapter 4 a little bit, because the negative on that is it really didn't make sense. Like you're going to that mountain and haha, well, yeah, there's Santa Claus, and you gotta find Santa Claus and his little helpers. But I didn't find like it was a good cheesiness to be added. Like maybe something else could be added. Like I got the concept at the beginning of the game, you know, those very, very extremely old school stuff where you have to sacrifice a virgin for in order to fulfill this sort of prophecy or something. That I get. But the way they did is like, oh well, we both, well, the girl's like seems very dim-witted, and she's like, oh well, I had sex with both these guys and stuff. So like maybe there was a different way of going about it. Like I don't know, like there's certain things okay you could keep, but overabundance, like some things like yeah. So the Christmas thing, I really didn't find it made any sense whatsoever. Like if you're gonna put jokes, try to make the story make kind of sense a little bit, like, but add in your jokes and just don't overdo with the jokes. And with the dialogue, I found the translation, well, the writing, some things were like cool instead of cool, and certain things, so it didn't make quite sense. And yeah, maybe there could have been a little more time spent on the dialogue at least, and the jokes. So, you know, if you even things out, you'll have this very funny game making fun of technically RPGs overall, but you'll have it funny, it'll make sense, the dialogue more or less, and it won't be overly done. Like, yeah, so I really didn't like the Christmas place that much. uh, at one point just had to level grind really a lot to like fight the Santa because it was overly strong. And the Judas guy, instead of like putting more effort into the art, like the character art is not bad, it's average, but like it's pretty decent to represent. But like I think there could have been even more effort spent on art if you would have put like a budget aside for that. Like I didn't mind the character profile art, it's just like there was some, like I noticed with the Judas, like when he like reveals, hey, well, I sold you out, but they kind of did like something lazy with the face, like a kind of gifting, and I found that that was a little sloppy. Like there could have been more productive put into the artwork and stuff. So yeah, overall, like you progress and then you make it through other places. You get transported, and you know you're going throughout different villages. This other hero darkness thing is coming after you, and you're just trying to run away, and you know you're trying to make it through. You get at one point to the elf village, the elfin town, and yeah, you go stock up on supplies, and you just progress and make it through until I don't know, they were kind of like all insulted the special oracle lady who would be able to tell them up, giving them their rings and stuff, and it's like, oh, is she retarded and stuff, and you know, and then you're like, you know, you progress and you get your special rings finally, but at one point you somehow get transported into like neo sushi Japan, and it was like, yeah, and then there's this guy who's supposed to represent the guy from Dragon Balls, Master Roshi, and he's supposed to you're supposed to go get a certain like Dragon Ball to learn his secret technique, and yeah, there'll be the perverted ichiness like fan service of hot springs, which I'm okay with that. Like that seems typical. Um, but there was something else. Is when you explore, there was like one point you had to go find out some stuff, and you had to go check out the school, and it just didn't make sense because when you were in that Japan, it's just it seems like they're trying too hard to do too much, but they're mixing too much, and it just doesn't. It really loses something. Whether you're trying to make the game for a joke, it just lost its passion, like Neo Japan. So you got like ninjas, androids, and stuff. It didn't feel like anything went in this game. So it's like, yeah, for that. So you're basically progressing, and at one point there was like, yeah, there was something with the you go to school, and then they're like, oh, the girls in these schools are mostly lesbians. So, and they really like one of them really likes the H stuff, the hentai stuff. And then at one point you're going to look for someone, and there was like, yeah, there was a girl who's like being attacked by tentacles, and yeah, and she's like, oh, why did you kill that? You ruined my fun and stuff. And yeah, anyways, I made it up to that point like a good 10 hours because you consider leveling up and other stuff, so a good 10 hours or 11 hours. But then the file kind of corrupted, so I don't know if that's probably on par with the game. Like the data really screwed up and it froze in the game at that point. And there was lots of like little bugs. Like sometimes there was like music, then no music. Like basically there was music sometimes, and then there was no music, and then sometimes in the game there was in particular areas, a few areas where it would go black and it would freeze, and yeah, so I couldn't progress anymore. And yeah, the pros in this game, as I would indicate, is that basically the graphical sprites are cool, the music's down to earth, story wise, I'll say for the kind of concept of like, being a group of regular guys playing D&D, looking for a friend and getting transported into this world and kind of going throughout that kind of adventure, but having its little jokes here and there, it's kind of a good concept and idea. But as for like the cons of this, I would have the pros and the cons is the negative down on this is, I mean, like if you want to do a game but you want to do an RPG game but making fun of it, I would cut back on how much jokes you use. Like just do a few jokes from like different genres of like animes or games, but don't overdo it. And if you want, like, in the long run for people who would really, enjoy the game, is that if you can, try to put a little bit more budget into your dialogue and into your character representation of story. Like, like I was saying, like there was a little over too much of some stuff. Even the non-playable characters, like some of the writing text felt kind of a little like lazy or like, so my problem really was just the overabundance of jokes. It wasn't really as funny as some other parody games you would take that would make fun of something or turn it into like slightly a joke. Like, so my problem was just like, it was like pretty much that bothered me a bit because it wasn't really like, as funny as it could be probably. Like example, like South Park does it in a way where they joke but they don't overdo it, but they joke and they got a story going on, and it kind of evenly outflows well. But that, that's my opinion, but that's the kind of game I know that makes like RPG but makes a joke out of it, and I find it's really fun. and stuff. So yeah, the other thing is that if you're going to make towns with weapons and magic shops, try to not always have the same selection of stuff. Try to put from earlier towns to higher towns. Put like stuff as if you were in a regular game. Just like the more farther you go, the better stuff you get. Don't mix everything together. It's not that great in buying skills and stuff. As for the skill stuff, I would have preferred it more if you could just, like, when you level up, you get certain skills for your class that you pick. I would have preferred it that way. If not, if you stick with the shop idea, it's not so bad, but I have a feeling that in a way it was overdone in the sense like they put too many skills all accessible and like you're trying to get as much skills as you want, but like maybe if you would have cut back on the amount of skills given in the game while buying it at the shop, it would have been better and try to even out the prices slightly more for that part. So yeah, basically the jokes, the shop, and the character art with the story. The translation should have been better. I understood most part, but there was some gramming and spelling mistakes, and yeah, it's just sometimes it just kind of lost the passion of the game. Like the game has its fun moments, but if these things were improved, I would have. I would have kept on playing if and if the bugs and the things would have been fixed. So my overall impression is what I state here, and I will rate it a maybe 6 out of 10. Yeah, 6 out of 10. Like it had its fun moments, but if you consider that, basically I give it a 6 out of 10 because I like the certain things about it, I like what they're trying to do, but as for overall, with all the problems, yeah. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this. Thank you. Bye bye.